All right, my friends, you are listening to the Novel Writing Podcast, episode 125, and you are getting me raw and unscripted on a hike on the I-90 side of Waterworks Hill here in Missoula, because I wanted to talk to you guys about what we're doing with ourselves, putting ourselves under such high pressure to meet goals, to meet writing deadlines, to publish by a certain date, to reach a certain number of words. All of this high pressure for ourselves, high expectations, I guess we're calling it. When we put ourselves under these high expectations to do what we see other writers doing, like we see other writers releasing 12 books a year if you're an insanely fast writer like some people are, or even releasing 4 books a year, which is still a really high pace for writing. We see people write 1,000 or more words a day, when for a lot of people that is not sustainable, that's not realistic. And when we look at our lives are full of stuff already. We might have full-time jobs, we might have families with small children, we might have obligations like church or kids practices, or just going out and going to exercise like I am right now. I went on a 2-hour hike this morning that I'm just about to finish while I'm talking to you guys. We have all this other stuff in our lives, and then on top of it, we add these high expectations to behave like full-time authors when we just can't. So what I want you guys to think about doing instead is have high expectations for yourself, but don't attach your emotions to whether or not you actually achieve those things. So this is high expectation, but low attachment. And low attachment just means that if you don't meet that goal, if you don't make that deadline, if you don't write that certain number of words, nothing has gone wrong. Like, you are not a bad person, you're not a terrible writer, you're not a fake, like none of that. You set a high expectation, you set a goal, you just didn't hit it in the time that you thought you would, or the time that you wanted to. That's the only difference. What really happens when we have these high expectations for ourselves and then we don't hit them is that we feel awful when we don't hit them. We're like, I'm going to publish by July 1st of this year, and then we don't, and then we're like, oh no, I'm such a terrible person, like I'm a terrible writer because I didn't hit this goal, when in fact the goal was arbitrary to begin with. Like, every goal we set, the timing of those goals, like the deadlines that we set for ourselves, they're 99% arbitrary, including me. So for example, when I published The Prophet's Ruin in March of 2023, I told myself I was going to publish book 3 in June of 2024. Now, June of 2024 is like 2 months away. I don't even have my cover done yet. So this is what I'm saying, is we can have high expectations for ourselves. Of course, I wanted to get the book done, but I'm still in rewrites. That's okay. But having that high expectation for myself would be a disaster if I found myself scrambling to meet this arbitrary deadline, and as a result, the work itself suffers. So what I want us to do instead is, yes, like I said, have these high expectations, have these high goals, like put your energy and your effort into them, like give your all to it, but don't attach how you feel about yourself and about your work to whether or not you actually did the thing, because that part doesn't actually matter as much as doing the work, enjoying yourself while doing the work, and knowing where you're going with it. Like, I would much rather we all have fabulous books, amazing covers, on a slightly longer timeline than I want us to be, cranking out books one right after the other and not have them edited, not have high quality covers, not, put them through the process of actually editing and writing and feedback and critique and making them be the best they can be. Because when we rush to do those things, when we rush to produce, because that's what quote unquote the market expects us to do, I think we're sacrificing the true quality that our stories deserve. And it doesn't do us any good as authors to be putting out something that's basically less than what we're capable of. And for a lot of people, what we're capable of has to be stretched out to a longer period of time than we're currently giving it, because of this high expectation that we have to do these things, and if we don't do them, then we're suddenly bad people or suddenly terrible writers or not good enough, which is absolutely not true. And if you all are wondering where this came from, I did have a client, shout out to my friend, I'm not going to name her, but shout out, you know who you are. This came from one of my friends saying that she was putting in an order for 100 author copies of her book, and that she hopes she sells all 100 throughout the course of this year. Like, she hopes that it it takes her through December. And I was like, girl, I hope you sell way more than 100 this year. Like, and she has the potential to sell way more than 100 in 1 year. And the thing was she didn't want to basically set her expectations too high just in case she didn't meet them. But what's the downside? Like, if you set your expectations high, let's say her goal is to sell 500 this year, then 100 books is only 1/5 of the number of books that she needs to sell this year. But if she's saying, I hope that these 100 books get me through the entire year, that is a low expectation. So I would much rather my friends and my clients set high expectations for themselves, but low attachment to the outcome, because she can go hard as heck trying to reach these goals. She can really put in the high effort and the energy to go to events, to sell online, to do whatever she needs to do to sell these books. But if she doesn't actually sell the 100, who cares? She sells as many as she sold. And on the opposite side of it, if she sells a crap ton more, if she sells like 1,000 books, then of course, high expectation. But the low attachment comes in. If she doesn't sell 100, that's okay. She sold however many she sold, whether it was 1 or 2 or all 100. What matters is that you are giving it your effort, you're giving it your all, but you don't need to make yourself feel bad if you don't meet a goal that you set. And that's not to say that we shouldn't feel bad if we don't get something we want, because there is true grief there. There's true loss when we don't get something that we desperately want. But I want us to learn how to kind of pull back on that desperation and be like, wouldn't it be cool if I sold 100 books this year? Wouldn't it be cool if I wrote and published my book this year? Wouldn't it be cool if, and then insert your goal? That way, it has a little bit more fun to it, and it's not so desperate. It's not so clingy to the outcome, which is what turns us into little hobgoblins of, I have to get this done no matter what, and that in itself decreases the quality of what we do. So, and I don't want you guys to do that. So I hope you enjoyed this hiking rant with my heavy breathing and possible background noise of cars and occasional pauses to let people with doggos pass. But you guys know the drill. Go out there and let your first draft be garbage. I'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Novel Writing Podcast. If you're ready to stop struggling and start finishing your novel, check out the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. It's a step-by-step program designed for solo writers to complete their first draft with clarity and focus. Visit the link in the description to learn more.